Spawning down in the bottom right hand position as the red Zerg player representing Acer, it's Nerchio. And his opponent in the top left, the teal Zerg from Core EU, Mr. JonnyREcco. So, game 1, Nerchio won quite convincingly after defending an all-in by Recco. Game number 2, Nerchio, well, teched later and was unable to defend the might of the Mutalisk, especially when the upgrade to 1-1 up against 0-0 when the main fight started. And that upgrade lead so critical to making Mutalisk fights work. Game number 3 though, and all on the line. The winner of this goes on to play against the winner of, as I refresh the bracket quickly to find out exactly what's happening. Yeah, the winner of this goes on to face the winner of Tefl versus either ZvZ or Revolver. So, not sure what that is, but of course lots of ZvZs potentially on the cards tonight, simply because there's a lot of Zerg players here. Zerg did well in December, it would appear. Spawning pool coming down from Nerchio and JonnyREcco at the same time. Expecting to see the gas from Nerchio. And, well, as I say, expecting to see it, it looks like he's not going to be going for the gas this game. For the first time, I've seen him open pool first. So, this means that neither player going to have speed, but both players going to have good economy. Hatcheries nice and early. And as many drones as possible. That can mean that we get a longer game, especially without the gas. It's quite likely that we'll get a longer game, because without speed it's very hard to go for any kind of crazy all-ins, and really quite difficult to go for much pressure until you get that gas down. Slowlings aren't the scariest thing in the world. Both players taking their gas at the same time, both opting to go for very safe and secure builds this match, and it makes sense. Game 3 of a best of 3, whoever wins this advances. Whoever loses this gets knocked out. And you don't really want that happening. You want to make sure that things are going solid for you. And that you are the person who's going on into the semi-final. Now, what else do we have occurring currently? Well, to be honest, not too much. It's just very passive play when you go for these sort of openings. Overlords position themselves nicely, just trying to get everywhere that they can to see any exit out of the bases. Nerchio once more getting just a couple of Zerglings out nice and early, 2 of them just to scout. This game JonnyREcco opting to do so as well. Smart move by both sides, because it allows you to get good information about what your opponent's opening has been, because for the moment all they know is that, okay, there are hatcheries coming down. They've both seen at least that much. What they don't know is when the gases were taken, how many gases were taken, if drones are still in gas, if speed has been started, etc, etc. So, both players coming in, both going to see that actually their opponent is kept all 3 drones in gas for the moment. Nerchio's Zerglings actually didn't get in. They've been pulled back. Interesting, because now JonnyREcco does have knowledge of what's occurring, whereas Nerchio doesn't. And you need knowledge. Knowledge is certainly power in StarCraft 2. And well, it's going in JonnyREcco's favour at the moment. Recco and Nerchio both at very similar drone counts at the moment, so we're not going to be seeing any crazy leads. Baneling Nests coming down at the same time. They are playing a mirror of a mirror match at the moment, and that is generally good news because it means we will be getting into the later stage of the game, even if we have a bit of a safe and docile time while we get there. But as we saw in a game of Nerchio versus Slivko, game number 3, you can get very different strategies. You can get the Mutalisk style, you can get the Roach Infestor style. Both viable, both work nicely if executed effectively. But it's what these two decide to do. Nerchio getting down a very early lair, adding on his second gas, pushing back the Queen, with the Queen pushing back the Overlord, just so we can take this 3rd and 4th gas without it getting scouted at the moment. Wouldn't be surprised to see JonnyREcco move back forward, but the Queen poking its nasty little head back there, just saying, go on, I dare you, and I'll take you down. Meanwhile, Recco, he's also adding on all the gases, fractionally later, but this is tiny amounts of delay in terms of what's happening, so not too worrying. JonnyREcco, though, now getting an ace scout down, sees pretty much everything that's going down, and with that knows, okay, well, my opponent has got his lair, has got those additional gases. Over at Nerchio's side, he is really struggling for information, and that's not what you want. He doesn't really know how many he knows how many lings are down. He doesn't know how many gases there are, when those gases were taken, when the lair was started, if a lair has been started. and that's going to be worrying to him. He knows that the hatch timing was similar to his, but now he gets the confirmation of all that he wanted to know as a Ling gets in. Good scout there by Nerchio, and now both players are aware that they're relatively safe. Spire started just shy of kind of 15 seconds earlier there for Nerchio. It was about 12 seconds quicker. So again, by the time Mutalisks get across the map, that doesn't make any difference in the slightest. Just showing the Nerchio is a tad ahead. But it's minor amounts. REcco's got a better drone count by a much more sizable amount at 5. And having a 5 drone advantage is fairly huge. JonnyREcco able to trade 1 Ling for a Baneling there. Very nice trade for the core EU player. While securing up his third base, REcco does need to be careful though, as a counter-attack incoming. However, he's got defensive Banelings, and he's also got a good number of Zerglings there. Only 3 Zerglings down, but he's got a lot more Banelings. However, Nerchio going for the same push he went against Slivko, getting a lot of Banelings out there, but REcco did see them now. Backs away, knows they're coming in, trades a Baneling for a single Zergling there. Morphs in some more defensive Banelings of his own, gets out both sides a lot more Zerglings, and this is where really Nerchio going for this cool little timing push. Will JonnyREcco be able to defend it where Slivko fell? Well, in come the Lings. Good Baneling hits coming down. Nice Baneling trade for JonnyREcco, and he has defended this easy peasy. There's no Banelings there at the moment for Nerchio, so no real threat. Yes, there's more Lings coming through, but Johnny does still have his own defensive Banelings. Another nice Baneling hit, and he defends that fairly simply. But Nerchio, he's still 1 worker ahead at the moment. He's up in supply, and he's got a lot of Mutalisks on their way through. And that's the kind of beauty of this push, is that it's worked nicely because Johnny was forced to make a lot of Banelings there in order to defend against that. So some of the gas tied up in that. Now, back at home, Nerchio just getting in a defensive spot because REcco could counter-attack at the moment. But he shouldn't be too worried because Nerchio does have Mutalisks down on the field, and therefore should be alright in picking off any Banelings that come straying forward. Mutalisk count is going to level out any second. 9 Mutalisks, which is going to be going up against what will be, well, a good number. 13, no 12. So, very similar numbers. The +1 timing this time, very close. REcco fractionally ahead, it's about 20 seconds advantage, but that's nothing to write home about. There is a very small window of opportunity for REcco there to have a good trade, but you'd have to be so precise with that, it would be quite lucky. What isn't lucky though are these Zerglings coming forward. They're trying to trade with the Banelings just to try and basically toy them out. Is able to do a bit of damage to the hatchery, but not able to take it down. Delayed a bit of mining time, which will help, but it's not the greatest thing that you're ever going to hope for. Nerchio now, with a good army on the ground, is up 10 army supply, up 2 workers, and so therefore, going to be pretty happy. JonnyREcco, sorry, is up by 10 army supply, but those additional workers will be helpful. Nerchio now getting quite a big worker lead and a 4th base on its way down. This is aiding the Acer player in just getting a solid economy. Both of the 2 of them getting up their +1 carapace now. REcco's is just kicking in now, whereas Nerchio's still has a few seconds to go. So if a trade occurred in the next 15 seconds, JonnyREcco would do favourably. But since it's not going to happen, it will be 0-1 up against 0-1. Therefore, very equal. And what it will come more down to is who has more Mutalisks, JonnyREcco, and who has Zerglings underneath the engagement, or any units underneath the engagement. Now Nerchio trying to poke and prod, trying to find a window to just get in there and deal a little damage, but unfortunately unable to find anything. Heading up towards the main where there is a Spore and a Queen, but could do good damage anyway. Just needs to be very careful not to lose any Mutalisks, because obviously those Spore Crawlers really do hurt, and you don't want to be taking any shots from them, ideally. The +1 air attack upgrades, about 40 seconds ahead for JonnyREcco still, so he's got fractional advantages, which he can try to monopolize upon if he can get a very good trade. But the trouble is, he's going to be aware that Nerchio has the +1 carapace. Both players will have checked their opponent's Mutalisks, and so he can therefore assume that the upgrades are following on pretty quick from that. JonnyREcco though does get a trade, gets a single Mutalisk for none there, which is very nice, but his 4th base only now just starting, whereas Nerchio's is already up. That's extra gas income that is going to be crucially important to Nerchio's Muta flock count. If he gets it up high enough, it's going to be very solid. JonnyREcco's still currently up by just 2 Mutalisks, but overall army supply tied at 99. Worker count slightly in Nerchio's favour. That's understandable though, since he's got that 4th base up. But let's take a look at how that gas income actually starts playing things out. Well, if we take a quick peek at it, obviously, Nerchio mining about 200 more gas a minute. We do have a trade coming down in the middle now. The Mutalisks trading pretty solid, but JonnyREcco does have significantly more on the field. There's Zerglings battling it out on the ground, but Rico also is about to get that +1 air attack kicking in. That's going to massively swing things in his favour, and already Nerchio running into a bit of problems. His 4th base going to get taken down. Nerchio desperately trying to get up a few more Mutalisks, but he did not come out well in that trade. His own +1 is still 25 seconds away from completion. Loses the 4th and is going to go and counterattack to JonnyREcco's 4th, but that could mean sacrificing up his 3rd base. Drones getting taken down. In come all the Lings. JonnyREcco should see or foresee that counterattack coming forward and pulls back some units. Lings there. The Zerglings decimating the 3rd base of Nerchio though. But the Mutalisk going straight in towards the 3rd of JonnyREcco. The Queen getting a little bit of damage down. The Mutalisks for Rico on their way back, 32 to 26. Rico losing a lot on the ground though to Zerglings, trying to intercept this Mutalisk clock. If he can take that out, he pretty much wins. Forces an engagement from Nerchio when he doesn't have enough, but Rico has 3 Mutalisks not engaging. Meanwhile, over on the other side of the map, Johnny doing some good damage. Nerchio's doing bad, and well, Nerchio GG's out with the slightly ironic he got patch zerged, and well, Rico will advance forward 2-1 over Nerchio.